Chapter 1. The Fall of the Crimson Nest. The twin suns of Virith scorched the sky like molten gold, their relentless blaze bathing the Dragonspire Mountains in an almost surreal glow that transformed the jagged peaks and sprawling valleys into a land of fire and shadow. This was a world where ancient forces clashed, the raw fury of nature intertwined with the remnants of lost civilizations whose technology still hummed beneath the surface, forgotten yet far from inert. At the heart of this volatile landscape, high upon a sheer cliff face carved by millennia of wind and flame, rested the crimson nest home to Zarya, a dragon whose very name inspired awe and reverence across the mountain ranges. Her scales shimmered with the deep red brilliance of smoldering embers, each one a testament to her strength and the fiery breath that had forged her legend. To the other dragons, Zarya was not merely a leader but a mother, a protector whose fierce love for her young was rivaled only by the ferocity of the mountain storms. The young dragons in the nest were the hope of their kind, a new generation born into a world that demanded resilience and power. They were already showing signs of greatness, their wings broad and strong, their claws sharp and capable of tearing through stone. Zarya watched over them with a vigilant eye, guarding the precious eggs and newly hatched fledglings against the many dangers that prowled the wilderness. Her senses were attuned to every sound, every vibration in the air and earth, a predator's instinct honed through centuries. She knew the mountain was fraught with peril not only from rival dragons and monstrous beasts that lurked in the shadows, but from a more insidious threat that had been growing quietly beneath the surface. The remnants of human technology left behind by an ancient expedition long thought lost. These machines had awoken, their cold, mechanical eyes scanning the landscape with precision and merciless intent. On a day when the suns hung highest and the air shimmered with heat, the terrible assault began. The sky, once a vast canvas of brilliant light and rolling clouds, was suddenly darkened by the silhouettes of sleek silver ships cutting through the atmosphere like shards of polished steel. Their engines roared with unnatural sound, a mechanical cacophony that drowned out the cries of birds and beasts alike. These were scavengers, humans who had returned to Virith not as explorers or settlers, but as predators, armed with technology beyond the dragon's comprehension. Their weapons unleashed beams of destructive energy that sliced through stone and flame, targeting the nest with ruthless efficiency. Zarya rose in a torrent of fire and fury, her massive wings beating the air with thunderous power as she sought to defend her home and young. Flames roared from her maw, lighting the darkened sky in a display of raw power and desperate defiance. But the human machines moved with cold precision, coordinated in their assault, relentless and overwhelming. The battle was catastrophic. The nest, a sprawling formation of rock and fire-hardened clay, crumbled beneath the bombardment, eggs shattered and fledglings scattered in the chaos. Zarya fought with a rage born of primal love, her claws rending metal and flesh alike. But the numbers and technology of the attackers were too great. Her mighty roar echoed across the mountain peaks as she was forced into retreat, battered and bloodied, the cries of her young ringing in her ears like a haunting dirge. The skies above the Dragonspire fell silent as the ships ascended, their engines cutting through the air as they vanished into the vastness beyond. Zarya's heart was heavy with loss and despair as she circled the smoldering ruins of the nest, the acrid scent of burnt flesh and shattered dreams filling her senses. Her young were gone, lost in the wilds below or taken by the ruthless scavengers, and with them, the future of her clan seemed to hang by a thread. The mountains mourned with her. The winds carried her sorrow through the canyons and forests, the very earth seeming to weep beneath the weight of destruction. Zarya's strength faltered as she landed among the shattered stones, her crimson scales dulled with ash and blood. The fire within her flickered uncertainly, threatened by the cold shadow of defeat. Yet deep within her, a spark remained, a stubborn ember of hope and determination that refused to be extinguished. She would not abandon her young, not while breath remained in her lungs or fire in her heart. The world of Virith was vast and wild, filled with dangers and secrets yet to be uncovered, and somewhere within its sprawling deserts and dark forests, her offspring still lived, waiting for salvation. But salvation would come not from claws or flame alone. It would come from an unexpected ally, it being neither dragon nor human, but something new, something that could change the fate of them all. As Zarya gathered her remaining strength and prepared to search the wilds, the ground trembled faintly beneath her talons, a subtle vibration that whispered of awakening. Deep in the shadowed valleys, ancient machines stirred from centuries of slumber, their sensors flickering to life with a cold blue glow. Somewhere beyond the mountains, a lone figure moved with purpose, drawn to the cries of the lost and the dying. This was the beginning of a rescue neither dragon nor scavenger could foresee, a rescue that would redefine the bonds between species and ignite a new chapter in the history of Virith. And as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the broken nest, hope kindled quietly in the dark, a promise that even in the face of devastating loss, life would fight to endure. Zarya's wings, once proud and strong, now bore the scars of battle-torn membranes, and singed scales marked the fierce struggle she had endured to protect her young. Yet, despite her pain and exhaustion, she refused to succumb to despair. The mountain winds whispered ancient secrets as she soared over the shattered landscape, searching tirelessly for any sign of her fledglings amid the endless expanse of twisted rock and scorched earth. Each battered cliff and shadowed canyon held a cruel possibility that her young had fallen prey to the harsh world or the merciless scavengers who prowled the planet. The sorrow within her was a fire that burned brighter than any flame she could breathe, a fierce mother's grief that mingled with determination. For in the heart of loss lay the seed of hope, and Zarya's spirit remained unbroken, propelled by a primal instinct that transcended fear and pain. As she descended toward the dense forest that clung stubbornly to the mountain's base, Zarya's keen eyes caught fleeting glimpses of movement, small, scattered forms darting between the twisted trunks and underbrush. Her heart leapt with cautious hope, but the terrain was treacherous and unfamiliar, hiding dangers both natural and unnatural. The forests of Virith were alive with strange creatures and remnants of forgotten technology, the echoes of a civilization lost to time. Ancient towers, half swallowed by vines and moss, stood silent sentinel over the land, their surfaces etched with cryptic symbols that pulsed faintly with residual energy. It was among these ruins that Zarya sensed the presence of her young, fragile, vulnerable, yet fiercely alive. But the scavengers who had devastated her nest had not left without purpose. Their machines prowled these woods too, scanning for resources and prey, cold and relentless. Suddenly, a sharp, metallic hum pierced the silence, and from the shadows emerged a figure unlike any Zarya had encountered. Clad in sleek armor that shimmered with iridescent light, the being moved with a grace and purpose that suggested both strength and compassion. Its eyes, glowing softly beneath a visor, locked onto the dragon with an intensity that communicated neither threat nor fear. Instead, it offered something unexpected: aid. The figure extended a hand, and from a compact device emitted a gentle pulse that resonated with the dragon's own bioelectric signals, a language of light and energy that bridged the gap between flesh and machine. Zarya, sensing the sincerity and power in this gesture, allowed the being to approach, her fierce instincts tempered by the desperate need to protect her young. This stranger was not a scavenger, nor a conqueror, but a guardian, a survivor of a lost human expedition who had chosen a path of redemption and healing amidst the ruins of Virith. Equipped with advanced technology designed to heal wounds and neutralize threats, the Guardian had been searching for signs of life in the shadow of devastation. Together, they formed an unlikely alliance, the ancient dragon and the lone human, bound by a shared mission to rescue the scattered fledglings and restore hope to a shattered world. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the Guardian scanners revealed hidden caches of energy and supplies left behind by forgotten colonists, resources that could sustain their quest. The dragon's keen senses and raw power complemented the Guardian's technology and knowledge, creating a synergy that neither could achieve alone. Through days and nights filled with perilous encounters, evading scavenger patrols, navigating collapsing ruins, and confronting wild predators, Zarya and the Guardian pressed on. Their journey was a testament to resilience and trust, a dance of survival where fire met steel, instinct met intellect, and ancient wisdom embraced new hope. In the quiet moments between battles, the dragons shared memories etched in flame and scale stories of the mountains, the legacy of the clans, and the deep bond between mother and young. The guardian listened, learning not just of survival but of connection, empathy, and the profound responsibilities that came with stewardship of life. And as the twin suns rose and set over the scarred landscape, the promise of reunion and renewal glimmered on the horizon, a beacon guiding them through the darkest nights toward a future where dragons and humans might stand together against the shadows. Chapter 2. The Rescue Begins. The forest beneath the Dragonspire Mountains was a realm of ancient secrets and creeping shadows, where the relentless hum of hidden machinery mingled with the whispering winds and the rustle of alien leaves. In this labyrinth of tangled roots and crumbling stone, Zarya and the Guardian, known to herself only as Kale, moved cautiously but with unwavering purpose. The ground beneath their feet bore the scars of forgotten wars and lost civilizations. Broken pillars covered in iridescent moss stood like solemn sentinels to a time when Virith was alive with wonders now swallowed by time. The air was thick with the scent of burnt resin and wild growth, and the distant echoes of unseen creatures reverberated through the twilight. It was a place of danger and hope intertwined, a crucible where the fate of Zarya's scattered young would be decided. Kale's technology was unlike anything Zarya had seen. His armor gleamed faintly under the dappled sunlight filtering through the canopy, and his visor's glowing eyes scanned the environment with precise, calculated movements. His small, compact devices emitted soft pulses, mapping the area, detecting bioelectric signals, and revealing traces of life hidden beneath layers of decay and dust. Though he was a stranger to this wild world, Kale moved with a determined grace born of experience and necessity, his every step measured, his every breath controlled. Zarya, towering and majestic, flanked him with cautious vigilance, her crimson scales shimmering in the filtered light, her powerful wings folded neatly against her back. The unlikeliest of partnerships, forged in the crucible of loss, was now their only hope. The young dragons scattered across this perilous land were the thread that bound their fates together. Their first major discovery came at the edge of a forgotten valley, where the shattered remnants of a sprawling nest lay nestled among gnarled trees and twisted vines. Here, amidst the bones of fallen stones and scorched earth, Kale's sensors picked up faint but unmistakable bioelectric signals, tiny, irregular pulses that spoke of fragile life clinging desperately to existence. Zarya's nostrils flared, and her keen eyes scanned the underbrush. She spotted a small cluster of fledglings huddled beneath a broken arch of roots, their scales dull and dusty, but their breath shallow yet steady. The young dragon's eyes fluttered open as Zarya's low, rumbling call reached them, a voice that carried the warmth of home and the fierce promise of protection. Relief flooded through the mighty mother's heart, but it was tempered by the knowledge that these survivors were vulnerable, exposed to predators, hostile machines, and the unforgiving elements. Kale wasted no time. Using advanced healing nanobots stored in his portable unit, he began treating the fledglings' wounds, small burns, fractures, and cuts inflicted during the brutal assault and the ensuing flight for survival. The nanobots glowed with soft blue light as they worked, repairing tissue, fighting infection, and accelerating the dragon's natural healing. Zarya watched with a mix of awe and gratitude as the strange human's technology breathed life into her young, nurturing them with a care that mirrored her own primal instincts. The fledglings, sensing the presence of allies, began to stir more vigorously, their tentative cries mingling with the rustling leaves and distant bird calls. But there was little time for rest. The scavengers' machines still prowled the wilderness, their mechanical eyes unblinking, their weapons lethal. The sanctuary these fledglings needed was far beyond this ravaged valley. The journey to safety was fraught with peril. Zarya and Kale moved stealthily through the shadowed forests and rocky ravines, evading patrols of scavenger drones that hovered like silent vultures above the treetops. The machine's sensors were sophisticated, capable of detecting thermal signatures, electromagnetic fields, and even faint bioelectric pulses, the very signals that Kale's devices sought to track and protect. Each encounter was a tense gamble, a dance of shadows and silence where discovery meant death. But the bond between dragon and guardian grew stronger with every step. Zarya's fire became both a shield and a warning. Kale's technology a cloak of invisibility and a sword of precision. Together, they forged a path through the hostile land, guided by instinct, technology, and an unyielding will to save the lost. Amidst the dangers, Zarya shared her ancient knowledge with Kale, the hidden paths through the mountains, the secret springs that nourished life even in the harshest droughts, and the silent warnings carried by the wind. Kale, in turn, taught Zarya to read the devices he carried, to understand the language of machines, and to sense the subtle shifts in the electromagnetic field that marked the presence of their enemies. Their alliance was a melding of past and future, flesh and steel, instinct and intellect, a partnership forged in the fires of necessity and tempered by mutual respect. Together, they uncovered hidden sanctuaries, caves lined with glowing crystals that pulsed with natural energy, abandoned outposts where the echoes of ancient colonists lingered in faded holograms. These places became havens for the fledglings and for the weary travelers who sought to rebuild amidst the ruins. As the days stretched into weeks, the fledglings grew stronger under the watchful eyes of their mother and the careful hands of Kale. Their scales regained their vibrant hues, their wings strengthened for flight, and their spirits kindled with the wild joy of survival. Yet the shadow of the scavengers loomed ever larger. Reports from distant scouts spoke of reinforcements, larger, more heavily armed machines, relentless in their pursuit of Virith's secrets and resources. Zarya's fiery breath and Kale's advanced weaponry would soon be tested to their limits. But hope endured. The dragon's roar, once a cry of despair, had become a rallying call summoning not only her kin but other creatures of the mountains and forests, ancient allies awakened by the tide of conflict. The battle for Virith's future was imminent, and at its heart lay the fragile promise of life, redemption, and the unbreakable bond between dragon and guardian. The days that followed the discovery of the scattered fledglings were a relentless test of endurance, courage, and unwavering resolve. The forest canopy above the Dragonspire Mountains offered both refuge and concealment, yet beneath its tangled branches and twisted roots lurked threats far deadlier than the occasional predatory beast or natural hazard. The scavengers were relentless, their mechanical drones prowling the skies with calculated precision, their sensors finely tuned to detect the faintest ripple of bioelectric signals or the subtle warmth of living creatures. Each movement Zarya and Kale made was shadowed by the possibility of detection, and the dance of survival grew ever more intricate and dangerous. Yet despite the ever-present dangers, the fragile alliance between Dragon and Guardian blossomed into a formidable force, a union forged in the fires of shared purpose and tempered by the brutal reality of their quest. Kale's technology became a lifeline in the wilderness. His armor, though sleek and almost otherworldly, was also a marvel of adaptability and resilience, its surface shifting and flexing to blend with the environment, cloaking him and his charges from enemy sensors. He carried compact devices that could emit pulses designed to disrupt the scavengers' communications and disable drones with precision electromagnetic bursts, turning the hunters into the hunted. Yet even these tools had limits, and Kale relied heavily on Zarya's raw power and ancient wisdom. The dragon's senses pierced the shadows like burning embers, her keen eyes and acute hearing warning of approaching danger long before it arrived. Together, they moved through the forest with a purposeful stealth, weaving paths through ancient ruins and forgotten temples, places where the echoes of Virith's lost civilizations lingered like ghosts. These ruins were riddled with cryptic symbols and strange devices, remnants of a once great culture whose relationship with dragons was hinted at but never fully understood. In the flickering light of Kale's scanners, fragments of data emerged, hints of long-lost alliances, of shared knowledge and mutual respect between organic and machine, legends inscribed in crystal and metal. The fledglings thrived under their care. Their scales regained the vibrant, iridescent sheen that marked the Dragonspire lineage, and their wings strengthened, catching the mountain breezes with growing confidence. Zarya watched them with fierce pride, her motherly instincts tempered by the harsh lessons of survival. She taught them to read the winds, to sense the subtle shifts in temperature and scent that betrayed approaching danger, and to harness their fledgling flames with control and purpose. Kale, for his part, imparted knowledge of the machines they would one day face, how to evade sensors, how to interpret electronic signals, and how to use the environment itself as a shield and weapon. The fledglings listened, their eyes wide with wonder and determination, embodying the hope of a future where dragons and humans might stand together, united against the dark forces that sought to claim their world. But hope was shadowed by looming threats. Scavenger patrols grew more frequent and aggressive, their weapons more devastating. One harrowing night, a convoy of armored walkers thundered through the valley, their mechanical legs crushing ancient stones and uprooting centuries-old trees. The ground shook beneath their march, and the air was thick with the acrid smoke of burning foliage and shattered technology. Zarya and Kale barely escaped an ambush, their narrow flight through a canyon filled with collapsing debris a heart-stopping testament to their bond and skill. The sanctuary they sought was still distant, a hidden valley whispered of an ancient dragon lore, protected by natural barriers and powerful energy fields left by the lost civilizations. Reaching it meant navigating not only the hostile terrain but the deadly gaze of their enemies, a gauntlet of fire and steel that would test every ounce of their strength and cunning. In the midst of these trials, Zarya and Kale uncovered a profound truth that reshaped their mission. Deep within the ruins of a forgotten temple, they found evidence that dragons and humans had once shared more than conflict. That long ago, before the cataclysms that shattered Viritha's past, there had been cooperation, mutual respect, and a blending of strengths that had allowed both species to flourish. Crystalline tablets and holographic archives told stories of dragon riders, humans bonded to dragons through rituals of fire and blood, sharing minds and hearts to face the dangers of the world as one. The technology of those days had been awe-inspiring: organic machines powered by dragon fire, cities built in harmony with the land and sky, and knowledge that transcended the boundaries of species. The legacy of that forgotten alliance was buried beneath the sands and stone, waiting to be rediscovered and reclaimed. This revelation galvanized Zarya and Kale. Their quest was no longer just to rescue lost fledglings, but to rekindle a bond lost to time and trauma, to forge a future that honored the past while facing the realities of the present. As the twin suns rose once more over the Dragonspire Mountains, casting long shadows across the land, the pair prepared to lead their young charge through the final and most perilous leg of their journey, a passage through the heart of scavenger-controlled territory to the sanctuary of the ancient dragon riders. The path ahead was shrouded in danger, uncertainty, and the lingering echoes of a war that had not yet ended. But together, with fire and steel, flesh and machine, they would face the storm. The future of Virith depended on it, and on the fragile hope that even in a world scarred by loss, life and legend could rise again. Chapter 3. Through the Heart of Darkness. The sanctuary lay beyond the blackened veil, a treacherous expanse where shadows stretched long and twisted beneath a sky perpetually obscured by thick, swirling clouds of ash and dust. For centuries, the Vale had been the battleground of ancient war scars etched deep into Viritha's scarlet soil, where forgotten technology and forgotten blood mingled beneath shattered stone and twisted metal. This was the final and most perilous stretch of the journey for Zarya, Kale, and the fledglings. Every step forward was a defiance against the ghosts of the past and the ruthless machines that still haunted these lands. The air was heavy with the acrid stench of burning circuits and smoldering vegetation, a constant reminder that the past was never truly buried, and the enemies of life still prowled unseen. Kale's sensors cut through the thick haze, mapping out the safest paths through the maze of wreckage and ruin. The ruins of an ancient city sprawled across the valley below, its skeletal towers and domes shattered and overtaken by time and nature. The city had once been a beacon of hope, a place where dragons and humans had lived in harmony, their destinies intertwined through courage and trust. Now, it was a tomb, silent but for the low hum of scavenger machines patrolling its crumbling streets and tunnels. Each drone, each walker, was a predator in its own right, ruthless and tireless, programmed to root out all signs of life and harvest the planet's resources without mercy. Zarya's powerful wings beat slow and steady as she flew low, her eyes sharp and searching for any sign of ambush, while Kale moved with calculated precision on the ground, his every movement designed to evade detection and protect the vulnerable fledglings hidden within the dense underbrush. The fledglings, once fragile and uncertain, had grown stronger but remained cautious, their youthful eyes wide with the harsh lessons of survival. Zarya's protective presence was a balm and a beacon, her deep, resonant calls a reminder of the strength that flowed through their veins and the legacy they carried. Kale's voice, soft but firm through the calms, guided their steps, coordinating their movements with an expertise honed through countless missions in hostile territories. Together, they moved as one dragon and human, guardian and fledglings through the labyrinthine ruins, a living testament to resilience and hope. Yet the deeper they ventured, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. Shadows twisted into monstrous shapes, and every crackling transmission from Kale's devices hinted at the ever-present threat lurking just beyond their sight. Suddenly, the ground trembled, a warning tremor that rippled through the ruins and sent dust cascading from crumbling archways. Kale's sensors flared with activity. A convoy of scavenger walkers, heavily armored and bristling with weapons, was advancing rapidly toward their position. The machines moved with terrifying coordination, their footsteps a thunderous drumbeat against the fractured earth, their sensors sweeping relentlessly. Escape seemed impossible, and the fledglings' frightened cries pierced the tense silence. Zarya responded with a roar that shook the very air, her flames erupting in a blinding display that lit the ash-filled sky. Kale activated his defenses, deploying energy shields and readying pulse weapons designed to disable the mechanical beasts. The battle that followed was fierce and desperate, a cacophony of fire and steel, of roaring wings and electronic screeches, where every breath and heartbeat was a struggle for survival. Amid the chaos, Zarya demonstrated the true extent of her power and wisdom. Her flames danced with a precision born of millennia, targeting the scavengers' vulnerable joints and sensors, while her talons shattered armor plating and ripped through metallic flesh. She moved with a fierce grace, protecting the fledglings and Kale as they maneuvered through the battlefield. Kale, in turn, used his technology to disrupt enemy communications and sabotage mechanical systems, turning the scavengers' own machines against them. The fledglings, inspired by their mother's courage, flapped their growing wings and joined the fray, their youthful fire a spark of wild hope in the darkness. Slowly, the tide turned. The scavengers, surprised by the ferocity and unity of their opponents, began to falter, retreating into the shadows from which they had come. The ruins echoed with the triumphant cries of dragon and human alike, a victory hard-earned, but vital for the survival of the young and the future of Virith. In the quiet aftermath, as ash settled and the sky cleared to reveal the twin suns once more, Kale and Zarya tended to the wounded fledglings. The battle had taken its toll. Scales were scorched, wings bruised, and spirits shaken, but hope endured. Among the ruins, they discovered a hidden chamber, sealed for centuries and untouched by scavenger hands. Within lay artifacts and relics of the ancient alliance between dragons and humans, texts inscribed in shimmering crystal, devices humming with dormant energy, and murals depicting scenes of dragons soaring alongside armored riders, united in purpose and strength. This sanctuary was more than a refuge. It was a testament to a forgotten era of cooperation and mutual respect, a blueprint for a future where dragon and human might rise together against the darkness. Elias could feel the weight of history in these silent halls, the promise of redemption and renewal etched into every stone. Their journey was far from over, but the discovery rekindled a flame of hope in their hearts. The fledglings were growing, the alliance between dragon and guardian deepening, and the sanctuary stood as a beacon against the encroaching shadows. As the twin suns set behind the shattered cityscape, casting long, fiery shadows across the land, Zarya and Kale prepared to lead their charges toward the next stage of their quest, a world beyond the ruins, where ancient power awaited awakening and the true test of their bond lay ahead. The future of Virith, scarred but unbroken, depended on their courage, their unity, and the fierce love that burned within the heart of a mother dragon and the steadfast resolve of a human guardian. Together, they would face whatever storms and shadows awaited, forging a path where legends could soar once more. The days that followed their victory in the ruins brought no respite, only the deepening weight of responsibility and the ever-present danger lurking just beyond the horizon. The fledglings, though growing stronger and more confident with each passing moment, still bore the marks of their ordeal, scars etched into their shimmering scales, tentative movements betraying the trauma of loss and flight. Zarya's motherly instincts drove her ceaselessly to shield them, her powerful wings casting protective shadows over the fragile group as they navigated the labyrinthine forests and rocky outcrops. Kale's watchful eyes never ceased scanning the skies and ground, his advanced sensors peeling back the layers of the hostile environment to reveal threats invisible to the naked eye. Together, they forged a path toward the ancient sanctuary whispered of in dragon lore and forgotten human texts, a place said to cradle the remnants of the old alliance and hold the key to Virith's redemption. The sanctuary was nestled deep within the heart of the Stormreach Plateau, a forbidding expanse of windswept rock and jagged peaks perpetually shrouded in swirling mists and crackling with latent energy. It was a place of legend, where dragons and humans once stood side by side in harmony, their strengths united against the chaos of a world torn by war and ambition. To reach it, Zarya and Kale had to cross treacherous terrain, ravines that yawned like the mouths of ancient beasts, cliffs slick with frost and rain, and fields of shattered crystal that shimmered with dangerous beauty. The environment itself was a test of endurance, challenging every ounce of their resolve. But the bond between dragon and guardian had grown unbreakable, a fusion of primal power and human ingenuity that allowed them to face the dangers with a courage born of shared purpose. As they approached the plateau's edge, the air thickened with an electric charge, and the ground beneath their feet vibrated with the hum of forgotten machinery. Kale's scanners detected vast arrays of dormant devices, energy conduits, crystalline generators, and defensive turrets, relics of a civilization that had harnessed the planet's natural forces in ways both wondrous and terrifying. The sanctuary was more than a refuge. It was a fortress built to withstand the ravages of time and conflict, its walls etched with intricate glyphs that pulsed faintly with life. Zarya's ancient knowledge allowed her to interpret these signs, a language of light and sound that spoke of balance, unity, and the sacred covenant between dragon and human. Together, they breached the sanctuary's outer defenses, their arrival awakening systems long dormant. The walls glowed with a soft, welcoming light as massive gates slid open, revealing a sprawling haven carved into the mountainside, filled with lush gardens, flowing streams, and halls alive with the whispers of history. Inside, the sanctuary was a marvel of ancient technology and natural beauty intertwined, a testament to a time when science and magic, machine and spirit, had danced in harmony. Crystalline trees pulsed with energy, their branches bearing fruit that shimmered like stars, while fountains of pure water flowed endlessly, sustained by hidden aquifers and energy fields. Statues of dragons and humans stood side by side, their forms capturing moments of unity and strength that transcended generations. In the central chamber, Kale discovered a vast database of knowledge holographic archives that told the story of Virith's past, the rise and fall of civilizations, and the ancient bonds forged in fire and trust. The records revealed the rituals of dragon riders, humans who had bonded their minds and souls to dragons, sharing their strengths and fears to become warriors and guardians of a fragile peace. This legacy was a beacon of hope, a guide to rebuilding the shattered alliance and facing the new threats that loomed over the world. Yet the sanctuary's activation also sent ripples through the network of scavenger forces still prowling Virith. The machines, attuned to the energy surge, began mobilizing in greater numbers and with renewed ferocity, determined to crush any spark of resistance. Zarya and Kale knew their time was limited. The sanctuary was both a refuge and a battleground, the cradle of a new era and the front line of a war that would decide the fate of their world. They set to work fortifying the defenses, combining dragon fire and human technology to create barriers and weapons that could withstand the relentless onslaught. The fledglings, now young warriors in their own right, trained under Zarya's watchful eye, learning to harness their flames and wings in coordinated maneuvers that echoed the ancient drills of their ancestors. Kale's expertise in tactics and engineering complemented her efforts, forging a force both fierce and adaptable. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon and the first storm clouds gathered, the sanctuary braced for the inevitable. The battle ahead would test every bond, every lesson, and every ounce of courage. But within the walls of the ancient fortress, beneath the glowing glyphs and shimmering crystals, a new hope had been kindled, a hope that dragons and humans, once divided by time and tragedy, might rise together from the ashes of loss to reclaim the future of Virith. The storm clouds thickened overhead, swirling with a ferocity that seemed almost sentient, as if Virith itself sensed the gathering storm not just of weather but of war and destiny. The sanctuary hummed with a vibrant energy, a living entity forged from the ancient synergy of dragon fire and human technology. Within its walls, the fledglings trained relentlessly, their wings catching the electric gusts that whipped through the mountain halls, their flames burning brighter and hotter with each passing day. Zarya's lessons were as much about discipline and control as they were about unleashing raw power. She taught them to listen to the heartbeat of the planet beneath their claws, to sense the flow of energy through rock and sky, and to honor the legacy etched in every scale and shadow. Kale worked alongside her, coordinating simulations and drills, his voice steady and encouraging, a grounding force amid the chaotic energy of growth and transformation. Beyond the sanctuary, the shadow of the scavengers loomed larger. Their forces had regrouped, drawing reinforcements from hidden strongholds scattered across the planet. Massive war machines, bristling with weapons and armored plating that gleamed under Viritha's twin suns, advanced with ruthless efficiency. Drones swarmed in coordinated waves, their sensors probing for weaknesses, their laser cannons slicing through rock and foliage with devastating precision. The battle lines were drawn, and the ancient sanctuary would become the crucible where the fate of Virith was decided. Yet within this crucible, the alliance between Dragon and Guardian was stronger than ever. Zarya's flames met Kale's technology in a dance of destruction and creation, a symphony of fire and steel that defied the merciless onslaught. As the first assault began, the sky erupted with a chorus of roars and mechanical screeches. Dragons took to the air in fierce formations, their wings casting shadows like storm clouds, their cries echoing across the valleys as both warning and battle cry. The fledglings, now fierce warriors in their own right, flanked their mother with youthful vigor and relentless spirit. Kale and his team coordinated defenses from the sanctuary's command center, deploying energy barriers and directing precision strikes against the advancing scavengers. The sanctuary's crystalline walls absorbed and reflected the enemy's fire, shimmering with radiant energy that seemed to pulse with the very life of Virith itself. Every moment was a desperate struggle, a clash of ancient might and advanced technology, of survival and hope. Amid the chaos, Zarya's bond with Kale deepened into something beyond mere alliance. In the heat of battle, they moved with a synchronicity born of trust and shared purpose, her fiery breath clearing paths through the enemy lines, his tactical commands guiding the sanctuary's defenses with unerring accuracy. The fledglings learned from both, blending instinct and intellect into a force that symbolized the future of their world. The scavengers, formidable though they were, faced a foe unlike any they had encountered, a living tempest of flame and fury backed by human ingenuity and unbreakable will. The battle raged for hours, the very ground trembling beneath the fury of fire and metal, until the last of the scavenger machines fell silent or retreated into the shadows. Exhausted but victorious, Zarya and Kale stood together atop the sanctuary's highest tower, gazing out over a landscape forever changed by conflict and courage. The fledglings, now fledged and free, soared above the mountain peaks, their cries a joyous herald of survival and new beginnings. The ancient sanctuary had proven its worth not just as a refuge, but as the birthplace of a new era where dragons and humans stood united against darkness. Yet both knew that peace was fragile, and the scars of war ran deep. The future of Virith would demand vigilance, sacrifice, and the enduring strength of their bond. But for the first time in generations, hope burned bright in unextinguishable flame kindled by fire, steel, and the unbreakable spirit of a mother dragon and the guardian who answered her call. Chapter 4. The Rise of the New Guardians. The dawn over Virith was unlike any that had come before, a shimmering cascade of light breaking through the heavy remnants of storm clouds and smoke that still lingered from the fierce battles of the past weeks. The sanctuary stood resilient against the battered landscape, its crystalline walls glowing softly, as if breathing with the planet's renewed heartbeat. Zarya, once a solitary guardian filled with sorrow, now soared above the sanctuary with a grace born of hope and strength. Her young, no longer fledglings but fierce warriors, flew alongside her, their wings slicing the sky with confidence and purpose. Beside them, Kale piloted a sleek hovercraft, his visor reflecting the rising suns and the boundless potential of a world reborn. Together, they embodied a union of fire and technology, instinct and intellect, a beacon for a future carved out of ashes and determination. The past battles had left scars, both visible and unseen. The land bore the wounds of scorched earth and shattered stone, while memories of loss and sacrifice lingered in the hearts of all who had fought to protect the sanctuary. But amid the ruins, new life flourished. The sanctuary's gardens, once fragile pockets of green, now thrived under the nurturing glow of energy fields that mimicked the gentle caress of sunlight and rain. Streams of purified water meandered through the stone terraces, supporting flora genetically adapted to Virith's unique soil and atmosphere. Within this oasis, humans and dragons worked side by side, scientists monitoring the delicate ecosystems, warriors training in ancient and modern arts, and young dragons learning the ways of both flame and flight under Zarya's vigilant eye. It was a place where past and future intertwined, where legends lived and breathed alongside cutting-edge technology. Kale, standing in the command chamber that overlooked the sanctuary's sprawling expanse, reflected on how far they had come. From the devastation of the Dragonspire nest to the harrowing journey through the Blackened Vale and the fierce battles against scavenger forces, every trial had tested their resolve and forged unbreakable bonds. The data streams flowing across his consoles painted a vivid picture of the ongoing recovery, a slow but steady return of stability and order. Sensors indicated increasing dragon activity beyond the sanctuary's borders, signaling the rekindling of clans that had once been fractured and scattered. Human outposts, established with care and respect for the land and its ancient guardians, began to the region, marking the cautious expansion of a fledgling civilization born from cooperation rather than conquest. Yet the peace was still fragile. Echoes of scavenger activity persisted, pockets of resistance that threatened the sanctuary's delicate balance. Kale's team worked tirelessly to develop new defenses, energy shields that shimmered with the iridescence of dragon scales, drones designed to patrol and protect without disturbing the natural order, and communication arrays that linked the scattered outposts into a unified network. The sanctuary itself was becoming a hub of knowledge and innovation, a symbol of hope that drew allies from across Virith and beyond. Visitors arrived, scholars, warriors, and diplomats, each bringing new perspectives and skills to the alliance. But it was the dragons who remained the heart of this new world, their ancient power and wisdom guiding the path forward. Zarya, perched atop a soaring cliff overlooking the sanctuary, felt the weight of her role as protector and leader. The scars of loss had transformed into a fierce determination to safeguard not just her own kind, but all life on Virith. She had become a symbol, a living bridge between the primal forces of nature and the advancing tide of human ingenuity. Her eyes scanned the horizon, watching as fledglings practiced flight maneuvers and hunters stalked the dense forests, their presence a reminder of the delicate balance between survival and stewardship. The ancient rituals of the dragon clans were being revived, infused with new meaning and purpose. Bonding ceremonies between dragons and humans, once lost to time, were being rediscovered and adapted, weaving together threads of myth and reality into a vibrant tapestry of shared destiny. The sanctuary's central chamber held the greatest treasures of Viritha's past holographic archives and crystalline tomes that revealed the history of the dragon riders and the technologies they had mastered. Zarya and Kale spent countless hours studying these records, uncovering secrets that would shape their strategies and deepen their understanding of the planet's mysteries. Among these was a revelation of an ancient energy source, hidden deep within the heart of the Stormreach Plateau, capable of powering the sanctuary and its defenses for generations. The quest to unlock this power became a new mission, one that would test their courage and unity as they ventured into uncharted territories fraught with unknown dangers. As the suns climbed higher and the winds carried the songs of dragons and machines in harmony, the people of Virith prepared for the challenges ahead. The rise of the new Guardians was not just a story of survival, but of transformation, a world reborn through fire and steel, ancient wisdom and cutting-edge innovation. Zarya, Kale, and their companions stood ready to face the future together, their hearts and spirits bound by a shared vision. Beneath the endless sky of twin suns and swirling storms, the sanctuary shone as a beacon of hope, a testament to the enduring power of life, love, and the unbreakable bonds forged in the crucible of loss and redemption. The days that unfolded within the sanctuary carried a sense of quiet urgency, a careful balance between the hard-earned peace and the ever-present awareness of looming threats beyond the shimmering walls. Zarya's wings, once marked by the scars of desperate battles, now glistened in the soft light of Viritha's twin suns, her every movement a blend of regal power and maternal grace. The fledglings she had once fought to save had grown into formidable young dragons, their scales reflecting the hues of the mountains and skies, their eyes sharp with the fire of survival and the wisdom inherited from their mother. Together with Kale and the growing human contingent, they formed a community unlike any the planet had seen, a symbiotic blend of ancient strength and modern ingenuity, bound by shared purpose and mutual respect. The sanctuary buzzed with life and activity, a beacon of hope carved from the raw wilderness, where the past's shadows and the future's light danced in delicate harmony. The sanctuary's advanced systems, born from the fusion of lost human technology and the elemental power of dragonfire, provided more than just shelter. They created an environment where life could flourish anew. Gardens of bioluminescent flora thrived under carefully modulated energy fields, their glowing petals a soft, radiant counterpoint to the red earth outside. Streams of crystal-clear water, purified and replenished through ancient aquifers and modern engineering, nourished plants and creatures alike. Laboratories hummed with the quiet diligence of scientists and engineers, their efforts dedicated to understanding Viritha's unique biosphere and developing technologies that respected and enhanced it. In the great halls, holographic archives displayed the history of dragons and human stories etched in light and sound, bridging millennia and igniting dreams of unity and renewal. Zarya often wandered these halls, her presence a living testament to the resilience and hope woven through every crystal and code. But peace was a fragile thing, easily shattered by the relentless march of time and the ambitions of those who would seek to control Viritha's power for their own ends. Rumors filtered through the network of outposts and patrols, whispers of new scavenger factions, more ruthless and better equipped than before, descending from the outer reaches of the system. These forces brought with them weapons of devastating power and strategies honed in wars beyond Viritha's skies. Kale and the sanctuary's leaders worked tirelessly to prepare, forging alliances with distant clans of dragons and rallying human defenders scattered across the planet's varied terrains. Training drills became battles of will and skill, with fledglings and humans alike learning to fight side by side, melding dragonfire with precision weaponry in a deadly dance of offense and defense. The sanctuary's crystalline barriers shimmered under the weight of anticipation, a shield against the storm gathering on the horizon. In the midst of these preparations, Zarya found moments of profound reflection and connection. She spent long hours soaring above the mountains, her wings cutting through the thin air as she surveyed the vastness of her domain, a world scarred but alive, fragile, yet fiercely beautiful. The bond between her and Kale had deepened beyond mere alliance into a partnership forged in shared sacrifice and unwavering trust. Their communication, once limited to gestures and signals, had blossomed into a language of understanding and respect, a dialogue that transcended species and history. Kale, too, was transformed not just by the challenges they faced, but by the profound connection to a world so different from his own, where fire and steel met in harmony and hope. Together, they embodied the spirit of Viritha's renewal, a living bridge between past and future, myth and reality. As the twin suns dipped low and the sanctuary glowed softly against the encroaching twilight, the long-anticipated battle finally came. Scavenger forces, vast and relentless, surged toward the sanctuary in waves of steel and fire, their machines cutting through the forests and ravines like a tide of destruction. The sky was torn with the roar of dragons and the screech of engines, flames and lasers lighting the night in a furious symphony of combat. Zarya led the charge from above, her fiery breath carving paths through enemy ranks, her claws rending metal with devastating force. The fledglings fought with fierce determination, their youthful fire a spark of wild hope amid the chaos. Kale coordinated defenses with calm precision, deploying energy shields, directing counterattacks, and rallying the sanctuary's defenders. The battle stretched across hours, a testament to resilience and unity, where every victory was hard-won and every loss deeply felt. When the final echoes of battle faded and dawn's light touched the scarred land, the sanctuary still stood strong, unyielding, a beacon of life and hope against the vast wilderness. The scars of war marked the landscape and the hearts of those who survived, but the bond forged in fire and struggle was stronger than ever. Zarya and Kale stood together amidst the ruins, their eyes reflecting the promise of a future born from courage, sacrifice, and unwavering hope. The sanctuary was no longer just a refuge, but a symbol, a testament to the enduring spirit of Virith and the unbreakable ties between dragon and human. As the fledglings took to the skies, their cries ringing clear and bright, and the sanctuary's lights pulsed with renewed energy, the world seemed to breathe a sigh of renewal. The dragon who once could not save her young had found salvation in the unexpected, the steadfast guardian who answered her call, and together, they would rise as the new protectors of a world reborn. The sun rose high over the Dragonspire Mountains, casting golden light across a land forever changed by fire, steel, and unyielding hope. The sanctuary, once a fragile refuge born from desperation, had grown into a thriving bastion where the echoes of loss had transformed into songs of renewal. Zarya, the mighty crimson dragon whose fierce heart had weathered unimaginable grief, now soared with the strength of a queen reborn. Her wings carved arcs of freedom across the sky, accompanied by her young, no longer fledglings, but warriors shaped by fire and courage. Each beat of their wings was a declaration. Life would endure, legends would rise, and the bond between dragon and human would forge a new destiny for Virith. Kale stood at the sanctuary's highest vantage point, the twin suns warming his armor as he watched the dragons dance against the horizon. The journey that had begun with loss and despair had blossomed into a partnership that transcended worlds and histories. Together, they had defied destruction, challenged fate, and rekindled an ancient alliance long thought lost. The sanctuary pulsed with energy, crystalline walls humming with power, gardens lush and vibrant, and a community united by shared dreams and battles fought side by side. The scars of war remained, etched into stone and scale, but so too did the promise of peace and coexistence, a fragile yet fierce flame lighting the path forward. In the quiet moments, Zarya and Kale often reflected on their extraordinary journey, a tale of tragedy and triumph, loss and salvation. They had faced darkness together and emerged stronger, bound by trust and unwavering resolve. The fledglings they had saved would grow to lead clans and communities, guardians of a future where humans and dragons soared as one beneath the endless sky. The ancient rituals of bonding had been revived, blending the primal and the technological, the mystical and the scientific into a powerful new legacy. Virith was no longer a battlefield divided by fear and greed, but a home rebuilt on respect, courage, and hope. As the sun set in a blaze of crimson and gold, casting long shadows across the sanctuary, Zarya's roar echoed across the mountains, a call that was no longer one of pain, but of victory and renewal. Kale responded with a steady pulse of energy, a signal of unity and strength. The dragons took to the skies once more, their silhouettes bold against the fading light, carrying the dreams of a world reborn. Together, they had turned loss into legacy, destruction into hope, and despair into a promise that even in the darkest times, when the dragon could not save her young alone, the unexpected light of friendship and courage would rise to the rescue. And so, beneath the twin suns and endless stars of Virith, a new era dawned, one where legends lived, and the future belonged to those brave enough to soar.